Hey, what is up guys? It is Phantom here and welcome back to a brand new video. So in this video, I'm going to be going over my top 5 dungeons in Wizard101. So anyway, I posted a video a little while ago that pretty much explained my top 10 favorite dungeons in Wiz, and a person gave me the idea. He's like, hey, why don't you do your least favorite dungeons? And I'm like, damn, that's a good idea. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. I'm going to be going over my least favorite dungeons in the game. There's not really too much to explain here. Besides that, I hate these dungeons a lot, and I wish they were removed from the game. So, yeah, that's really about it. That's all I really have to say here. Anyway, let us move on to my number 5 least favorite dungeon in the game. So, coming in at number 5 here, I just had to... Hello, Caleb. Coming in at number 5 here, I had to put the Labyrinth, guys. Located in Dragonspire, the Necropolis. I was going to go in the dungeon here, but it looks like Caleb is already doing it for me. I'm going to just switch realms here because he probably thinks I'm going to enter the dungeon with him. Sorry about that. I'm just making a video, dude. But we're going to go in the dungeon here, you know, just so you guys can see what it looks like and everything like that. So, the reason why this is one of my least favorite dungeons is, well... this is a dungeon that boasts about 6 quests with actually 7 bosses. So, yeah, there are 7 whole bosses in this dungeon. And I believe in one of the quests you had to defeat 3 bosses all by yourself. And honestly, as a solo wizard, this dungeon is incredibly annoying. There is literally only one thing that is actually redeeming about this dungeon. There's a ton of bad, I mean, obviously there's a ton of bad fights and everything like that, but the only thing that is really redeeming about this dungeon is, okay, well, I'm not going to defeat the Silver Sentinel, that's one of the bosses, by the way, is the whole Moses lava mechanic there, that as you, like, activate these bridge pedestals and everything like that, the lava just slowly, like, divides around you, and then you walk to the next ring and everything like that, but lots of annoying boss fights here. Anyway, I really had to put this here at the number 5 spot because the bosses are extremely annoying. Obviously, with Dragonspire bosses, you're going to get a ton of, like, weaknesses. I mean, sometimes some tower shields if they're ice. And overall, they just have a lot of fucking health for the level that you come in at. So I had to put this dungeon here. Extremely annoying. The boss fights are super duper tedious. And at the end, I believe you have to defeat a boss fight with, like, or defeat a boss with, like, over 8k or something like that. Anyway, I put the Labyrinth at number 5 here. But let's just move on to number 4. So coming up next on the list, we have the Portico, which is located in Celestia here, in Celestia Base Camp. Let us head in there right now. So the reason why I put the Portico at number 4, and honestly it was a really hard choice between the Labyrinth and this, because in essence they're kind of like the same dungeon-ish, except I find the Portico a little bit more tedious and annoying. I feel like there is a bit more running around in the Portico. It's kind of like the Labyrinth of Celestia, if you want to think of it like that. I mean, the dungeon itself, I just hate the way it looks. Like, you're underwater. I was never a huge fan of, like, the whole underwater aesthetic in Wiz. That was just never really my cup of tea, but really the Portico questline just kind of consists of you running around, defeating some mobs, and then defeating bosses that are located in each one of these towers. Or they're not bosses, they're like elites. So the actual dungeon isn't really that hard. I mean, the final boss was like, but like the rest of the dungeon, really not that hard. I didn't really put it here for how hard it is, for its hardness and everything like that, but I really just put it here because these mob fights, like, you fight them in areas like here, they're just really, really tedious. And this dungeon has a lot of, like, go use this inactive protector, like, go use a certain crystal. There's a lot of running around, there's a lot of activation, like, necessary and everything like that. So, out of pretty much all the Celestia dungeons, I mean, this one's probably the most annoying. Like, its aesthetics really don't make up for it at all, whereas the Labyrinth, I feel like they do at least a little bit, because the Labyrinth is like sort of a unique Dragonspire dungeon with the, you know, rising and lowering lava and everything like that, but this, there's just nothing unique about it. There's really nothing unique about it, and it's pretty much the same formula that we've been shown before, so I really gotta put this here. Basically, the Labyrinth of Celestia. It might not be as long, but to me, whenever I just go here, man, I just... I always get to reminisce about how tedious and just awful this place is. I just don't like Celestia that much as a world, and like this dungeon specifically is like Celestia in a nutshell for me. So that's why I had to put it at number 4 here. But without further ado, let us move on to the number 3 spot. Coming up next on the list at the number 3 spot, I believe, is going to be Shirataki Temple in Mushu, and this dungeon is incredibly annoying. And honestly, this might be a bit of a controversial opinion, because I've seen some comments down below saying how much they've actually liked this dungeon, Shirataki Temple, which, if you don't know, is actually the Plague Oni's dungeon, where you fight him. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, guys, this dungeon, why I hate it so much is it is a fucking climb. Okay, first you gotta defeat Shoji, which is like, he's that way. He gives you like the key to go through this gate and everything like that. I'm just gonna map it out because obviously I'm not gonna do the quests. He gives you a key to go through the gate, and then you gotta disable some gate over here, then you gotta walk all this way. I don't believe, okay, you have to come back here later, but you gotta walk all this way to defeat Dinho. And yes, there's teleporters, but they don't, I mean, they help a little bit, but I mean, a lot of them really don't. So you gotta come here, talk to Dinho, and you need to basically go back to these air shrines, because you gotta summon Wavebringer, so he's like a elemental water spirit, and you gotta defeat each enemy slash boss, whichever one it is, in each one of the shrines, and then you gotta activate all the shrines. Once you've activated all the shrines, I'm pretty sure you have to come all the way down here and defeat another guy, and then come all the way back up here, defeat Jade Oni, or no, defeat Wavebringer. After you defeat Wavebringer, you gotta go back in and defeat the Plague Oni. That is why I hate this dungeon. It is extremely long and tedious for a Mushu dungeon. And you know what? I'll be honest, some aesthetics, like the river running through here, leading to this big lake here with the tree in the center and everything like that, that's really, really aesthetically pleasing. I really, really like that, but the actual questline just does not make up for it, for me, personally. And this is just one of the most annoying dungeons in the game. And it's funny because, what are you, like level 30 something when you come into Mushu? So for the level that you come in at, I mean, I wouldn't say it's the most difficult dungeon. I would just say all the running around and mob slash boss fights are really, really annoying. And they're really, really tedious and extremely just awful to do. It's just an awful experience to go through. So anyway, I had to put Shirataki Temple here. Just the absolute large magnitude of the questline is just absolutely awful. So I had to put it here. Anyway, that's all for Shirataki Temple and its fucking Plague Oni. Anyway, let's just move on to the next spot on the list. So coming in at number 2 here, we have the Sands of Time. Now, I know it's not technically a dungeon because it's not like in that same dungeon format where, you know, you go through a bunch of like different quests and everything like that, and it's all like in one sigil. So yeah, there are different sigils at each like divide of the Sands of Time and everything like that. But I'm gonna call it a dungeon anyway, because most people really do all these bosses in quick succession anyway, and I mean, it is all looped together in one area. It's all the Sands of Time. So I'm just gonna include it as a dungeon, the Sands of Time, and basically what you have to do is you gotta collect Chrono Shards. There's one Chrono Shard located behind each one of the sigils, and I forget what the quest is and what you have to do with those shards, but you gotta collect the shards, I remember, and you gotta defeat the Guardians, who hold each one of the shards, and the Guardians are the shadow version of Rattlebones, the shadow version of Bort Malletmane, and it's the shadow version of the Jabberwock. And honestly, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, Shadowbones and Shadowwalk were both really, really awful bosses, so you had to defeat those guys to get the Chrono Shards. I just have horrible memories from the fights, honestly. Like, they're definitely not easy fights, especially the Shadowwalk. And then I know Grandfather Spider is around here somewhere. I don't remember exactly which sigil he is behind in the sands, but I know he's here somewhere, and that is definitely not an easy fight either. I mean, obviously, we have better gear now, so this wasn't as hard as it once was, but for me, at least doing it on this wizard, because, I mean, this is my max level. This is the only wizard that I have quested through Mirage, so the experience that I took away from it was definitely negative, and I have to put the Sands of Time here, just for that negative, that negative experience with each one of the battles, so I had to put it here. Sorry, Sands of Time, you're not technically a dungeon, but I'm going to include you in as one, and you're going to come in at the number 2 spot, because you suck, and I hate all of your boss fights. So, anyway, that's going to be all for number 2. Let us move on to my most hated dungeon in the game. Oh my god, I'm so excited, aren't you guys? Anyway, let us move on. And the final dungeon that I hate absolutely the most is going to be the Galleries, which is located in Shadow Palace in Chrysalis, in this area here. If you go into the little palace here, you will see this door on the side. Actually, I just realized, what does this door lead to? Because that one's the way out. What is... Okay, whatever. Anyway, this door leads to the Galleries. That door leads to Morganth's chamber. But anyway, the Galleries are so much worse than Morganth. Let's just talk about it a bit. So the Galleries is a 3-battle dungeon where it consists of all the warlords that you previously met throughout your ventures in Chrysalis. These warlords consist of Cravenly the Hunter and Ghost Dog. Sorry, I wanted to wait for their dialogue to finish there. They consist of Cravenly the Hunter, Ghost Dog, which is the first battle. And yes, there are 2 bosses in each battle who most of the time summon minions as well, so that's really, really annoying. After that, there is Baylor, Broken Fang, and the Santa Muerte. Probably the hardest fight in here. To be honest, Baylor's shield's extremely annoying. And then the final fight is Lord Umbra and the Arachnomagus. I think that's what his name is. I'm not really sure, but it's definitely one of those spider people. So those are the 3 battles. It's the worst. So obviously, all the 3 battles, really, really annoying cheats. There's 2 bosses with very, very high health and very, very annoying cheats in every single battle. There are 3 battles in total. This is just the absolute worst. I just have so many memories of me just struggling through this, wanting to get to Morganth so bad, and I was so close, right? And I just couldn't find a team to help me. So what I did was I soloed the galleries in quotation marks because I used henchmen. I used a lot of henchmen for this fight, and I just couldn't find anyone though to do it with. Nobody wants to do the fucking galleries, okay? Seriously, nobody wants to. Nobody hangs out near it. Everyone wants to just do Morganth, but no one thinks about the prerequisite dungeon, which is this dungeon. It is just the absolute worst. It's literally just 3 rooms, like just like this. It's not even a cool dungeon by any means. It's the most basic basic layout of dungeon with just really, really hard battles in between. So that's why I'm putting the galleries there. Anyways, that's gonna be all for this video of my top 5 least favorite dungeons in the game. Oh man, there's honestly so much more that I can think of, honestly, now that I'm realizing it. So maybe I'll do an expanded list in the future, but for now, these are my top 5 least favorite dungeons standing. So anyway, hopefully all of you did enjoy this video. If you agreed or disagreed with any of my points, you can leave a comment down below. Maybe like if you enjoyed, or subscribe for more content like this in the future. I post pretty much daily now that it's summer, so I've got a ton of time to do cool stuff like this. So anyway, that's going to be all from me, everyone. Hopefully you all did enjoy the video. I will see you all in the next one. Take care, guys, and peace out.